Jai Hind and welcome to all. Myself Shivani Singhal is going to deliver a lecture on water softening in continuation of water and its treatment. In previous lecture, I have already explained the hardness and the problems some related to hardness, where we can convert all type of concentration in equivalent to calcium carbonate. This lecture covers the two methods of water softening. One is zeolite and second is ion exchange. The references are again the same: engineering chemistry Jan and Jain by Dhanpat Rai, engineering chemistry by Shashi Chawla, by Ville India and Wikipedia. So, first is what is water softening? The removal or reduction of hardness producing salts, calcium and magnesium we can say, irrespective of whether they are related to temporary hardness or permanent hardness, is termed as a water softening. And we know that hard water is not suitable for drinking as well as for industrial purpose. So, that is why removal part is very important, and removal is done or water softening is done by two approaches. First is external approach and second is internal approach. External approach means basically preventive method, that is, this treatment is carried out outside the boiler, while internal treatment is carried out in the boiler. So, we can say the conditioning is done basically by addition of some chemical in the boilers. There are few salts which cannot be removed by external treatment. So, for removal of them some chemicals are required, that is internal treatment. External treatment basically there are three which are very famous, and in this lecture we will cover these two, zeolite and ion exchange. This reverse osmosis is basically used for desalination, but as we can say here salts is removed, so it comes in external treatment. Internal treatment means addition of chemical like colloidal treatment like phosphate, carbonate, calgon, complexometric, radioactive. Although these treatments are not in our syllabus, but we will discuss calgon treatment in brief. So, first zeolite process. This method is very important. So, you must do theory part as well as numerical part. So, first let us come in for theory. It is also known as permuted method, and zeolite means geo plus light. Geo means earth, light means stone. So, we can say zeolites are like a stones, and the formula is Na2O, Al2O3, XSiO2 and YH2O, where X lies in between 2 to 10 and Y 2 to 6, and they are known as H2O, that is hydrated, sodium aluminosilicates. So, we can say silicates. Silicates part is basically the main part of zeolite, and these zeolites are capable to exchange reversibly by its sodium ion by hardness producing ions, that is calcium and magnesium. Why? Basically this capacity. So, for this let us see the zeolites. These zeolites has cavities or we can say porous structure, and the structure of zeolites SiO4, that is silicon, it is tetrahedrally arranged and oxygen is shared by two tetrahedral structure. Few Si4 they are replaced by Al plus 3, and to balance the charge few sodium ions or potassium ions they are incorporated with these aluminum, that is Al plus 3. So, we can say basically in these cavities exchange sodium ion from calcium and magnesium ions, so they get trapped. So, zeolites are three-dimensional, microporous, crystalline structure and which contain aluminum, silicon and oxygen. But or because of these properties, zeolites are very useful. They are used in catalysis, they are shape selective catalysis, they are used in water purification, they are used in treatment of various disease. But since in our syllabus there is only water softening, so no need to do this, it is just for idea. So, zeolites basically, so it is clear that zeolites are sodium aluminosilicates. Zeolites are of two types. First is natural zeolites and second is synthetic zeolites. Natural zeolites, they are non-porous, that is why they are not used for water softening purposes. One example is natrolite and the formula is Na2O Al2O3, formula is same, but X is 4 and Y is 2. So, 4 SiO2 and 2 H2O. Second, synthetic zeolites, they are porous. So, it is basically clear because the zeolite they can exchange its sodium or potassium ion from calcium or magnesium ion. So, the main part or the important part is porosity, and synthetic zeolites are porous and they have gel structure. They can be easily synthesized by heating sodium carbonate, alumina and silica. Pores size, it is basically, it can be changed by changing the silicon aluminum ratio. Now, the process for softening hard water, it is just take, suppose this is the basically zeolite softener. Hard water is passed through the zeolite softener and there is a zeolite layer. All the calcium magnesium ions from the hard water they retain and sodium ion from zeolite, it comes with water. This is the diagram which I have taken from Shashi Chawla book, and zeolite softener. Here the hard water comes which contain calcium ion and magnesium ion, and this part is basically for regeneration, we will discuss this later. And when hard water pass through this zeolite layer or zeolite bag, and the formula of zeolite is Na2, and we can write the remaining part as Z. So, Z we can say it is the insoluble part, and insoluble part means silicate, Al2O3 and water part. So, all the sodium or potassium, but here sodium, so Na2Z. So, sodium get replaced by calcium and magnesium and they retain in zeolite layer as CaZ and MgZ. There is a layer of gravel. Gravel is basically stones of large size, and when water comes outside, then calcium and magnesium they get retained there, and water basically it is free from calcium and magnesium. Now, the reactions, suppose water contain calcium sulphate, magnesium sulphate and calcium chloride. So, when they pass through sodium zeolite, that is Na2Z, initially sodium get replaced with their cations and CaZ, MgZ and CaZ get formed, and Na2SO4 and NaCl, it comes out with water. And suppose bicarbonate hardness is there. So, for bicarbonate we can write CaHCO3 whole twice plus Na2Z, which gives CaZ plus 2NaHCO3. that is bicarbonate, it will come out with water as a soft water, in terms of soft water. But after some time, the pores of zeolites, they get exhaust, like suppose these are pores in which sodium ions are there, and when they get replaced with calcium ion, and since the size of calcium and magnesium ions are larger, so after some times all the sodiums, they get replaced with calcium and magnesium. At this stage, the supply of hard water is stopped, and instead of this, the 10% NaCl or 10% brine solution is passed. When 10% brine solution get passed, then the reaction becomes reversible, that is this reaction, that is CaZ or MgZ, they combine with NaCl brine solution, 10% solution, which is used for regeneration, and they get formed MgCl2 or CaCl2 plus Na2Z. That is zeolite, they again get regenerate, that is they can be used for further the reactions CaZ plus Mgz, this and this. So, when we do the theory of zeolite, at least there should be 4 reactions, 2 reactions for replacement of sodium with calcium and magnesium, and 2 reactions for regeneration. Then washings are led to drain, and then regenerated zeolite, they can be used again for softening process. Now, although this method is very good, but there are certain limitations. First limitation is if the supplied water is turbid, that is suspension particles are there, in that case first these suspension particles they get removed, or they should remove, because otherwise they will clog the pores or cavities of zeolite bed. Second, if water contains impurities or ions other than calcium and magnesium ions, like manganese Mn+2, like Fe2+, so in that case these ions must be removed. Otherwise, Mnz and Fez, they get formed which can't be easily regenerated. Third is acidic water cannot be used, otherwise they destroy the zeolite layer or zeolite bed. Hot water cannot be used, otherwise zeolite get dissolved. Next, treated water contains larger amount of sodium ions, because in the reaction we see that calcium and magnesium they retain in with zeolite, and sodium ions it comes out with water. And another limitation is if bicarbonate impurities are present in water, and since in this overall process we see that only cations that, or especially calcium and magnesium ions are removed, anions are not removed by this process. So, bicarbonate it combined with sodium and form sodium bicarbonate, which on heating produce NaOH and CO2. NaOH leads to caustic embrittlement, and CO2 it makes the acidic and corrosive gorment. Now, advantages. The first or major advantage is we can remove the hardness up to 10 ppm. Suppose water contain 200 ppm hardness. So, by this method we can reduce hardness up to 10 ppm. Second, small apparatus, so it occupying small space. Rapid process, self automatic, so it requires less time. And one another major advantage is there is no byproduct. So, no sludge formation, it means there is no problem of sludge disposal. So, we can say it is quite clean. Now, disadvantage we can take from limitation. Treated water contains more sodium salts. This method is used only for replace calcium and magnesium ions, and hot water cannot be used. Now, numerical part. Theory as well as numerical, both are important. So, we must do both part. Since both numerical and theory part is important, so we must do both. So, now comes in problem. So, let do this numerical. Question is, the hardness of 10 to the power 5, 3 is here, 2 is here, liter of water was completely removed by passing it through zeolite softener, and then required 400 liter NaCl having 10 gram per liter NaCl for regeneration. Calculate the hardness of water, and we know that hardness is the presence of salts equivalent to calcium carbonate. In zeolite process, we know that NaCl is used for regeneration, but before this the zeolite Na2Z it basically formed, replaced in calcium Z and Mgz. So, we can say the equivalent of sodium ion, they are basically equal to equivalent of calcium or magnesium. So, first we calculate how much NaCl is required for regeneration. Total NaCl required is 400 liter, and in 1 liter NaCl dissolve 10 gram. So, total NaCl required for regeneration is 10 into 400 gram total, which is 4 into 10 to the power 3 gram. And in water chemistry numerical, we search 3 things. First is milligram, second is per liter, and third is equivalent calcium chloride. So, gram, we convert this into milligram, and in 1 gram 10 to the power 3 milligram. So, 4 into 10 to the power 6 milligram. This is the amount of total NaCl required. Now, our aim is to convert this NaCl into equivalent of calcium carbonate. In previous lecture, I have explained, then if we multiply by multiplication factor, then we can easily convert the salt concentration in terms of or equivalent to calcium carbonate. For NaCl, the multiplication factor will be molecular weight of calcium carbonate, which is 100, divided by molecular weight of NaCl, which is 58.5, but since sodium contains 1 Na plus and calcium contains plus 2, so when we equalize the equivalent or moles of both, the N will be 2. So, 100 upon 2 into 58.5. So, equivalent to calcium carbonate is equal to 4 into 10 to the power 6 into multiplication factor, and multiplication factor is 100 into 100 upon 2 into 58.5, which comes 3 into 4.188 into 10 to the power 6 milligram equivalent to calcium carbonate. Milligram it is here, equivalent calcium carbonate is here, we search, basically we take per liter. The total water volume is 10 to the power 5. So, 10 to the power 5 liter volume water consume 3.41 into 10 to the power 6 milligram equivalent calcium carbonate NaCl. So, 1 liter, for 1 liter it will be 3.419 into 10 to the power 6 divided by volume of water, which is 10 to the power 5. That is milligram per liter equivalent to calcium carbonate, which is ppm and known as hardness. So, we can say the formula hardness is equal to amount of NaCl equivalent to calcium carbonate divided by volume of water. Milligram we can write this. So, this is the basically simple numerical. If hardness is given and we have to calculate volume of water, then we can put the value of hardness here, NaCl we can calculate, and then volume of water. Suppose instead of this concentration is given, let 10% NaCl, let 10% NaCl, 10% means 10 gram in 100 ml, it means 100 gram in 1 liter. So, directly we can take this and then multiply with total NaCl required and then find the value in gram. So, we can easily convert this. Now, second question is for practice. The hardness of 1000 liter sample. So, this is the volume of water. It was removed by passing it through zeolite softener and the volume total NaCl required is 30 liter and 1 liter NaCl contains 1.5 gram. So, from this we can calculate how much NaCl required in grams, then convert it into milligram by multiplying 10 to the power 3. Now, convert this NaCl concentration equivalent to calcium carbonate by multiplying multiplication factor, and multiplication factor for NaCl is 100 upon 2 into 58.5. Then milligram equivalent calcium carbonate. Now, volume 1000. For 1000 liter water, NaCl required is this. For 1 liter water, NaCl required the value upon 1000, which gives hardness. So, answer is 38.46 ppm. Now, second topic, ion exchange process. This is the another method to remove the hardness, or we can say for softening. This is also known as deionization or demineralization. This is the modern method for softening, and in this method we remove all type of ions, or we can say all salts, means we can remove cation as well as anion, and then we get a water as a distilled water. It means in this process all type of ions, whether these are cations or anions, can removed. Now, resins. Resins means the structure have cavity. Zeolite is also resin, and which has a cavity, means it is like a honeycomb structure. So, ion exchange resins are insoluble, cross-linked means 3-dimensional structure, long chain organic copolymers with microporous structure, means cavities are there, and the functional groups attached to chains are responsible for ion exchanging capacities, means the chain structure is same, and the chain is basically styrene divinyl benzene copolymer. In the chain, if the functional group is capable to exchange H plus ion or cation, then it is termed as cation exchange resin. if functional group attached with link chain is capable to replace its anion, then it is termed as a anion exchange resins. So, we can say these ion exchange resins are of two types, cation exchange resins and anion exchange resins. This is simple structure of cation exchange and anion exchange resins. In the both structure we see that the chain is same, and chain means styrene, di-vinyl benzene. Now, if the functional group is SO3H, that is obtained from sulfonation, or COOH, then we can write this RH plus. R is the overall structure and H plus is the basically replaceable H ion or cation. Now, this chain is same, but it contains CH2NR3OH minus or NH2OH minus. So, this structure can be written as ROH. RH is like HCl, so H plus Cl minus. ROH is like NaOH, that is OH minus with Na plus, but here R is overall chain. Now, if this is capable to exchange its anion, so it is the simple representation of anion exchange resin, and this is cation exchange resins. We will discuss this later. First, process. The hard water is passed through cation exchange column. This is the cation exchange column and this is the anion exchange column, and this is the basically neutralization chamber. So, first water having cation and anion impurity, it is passed through this cation exchanger. Then all the cations, that is calcium, magnesium, they get exchanged with this H ion and will retain there. Now, so we get water free from calcium and magnesium, but contain H ion. Reaction is this RH plus Ca plus 2 or Mg plus 2, which are present in hard water, and when they are passed through cation exchange resins, so R2C and R2Mg get formed and H plus ion, they basically will come out with water. Now, after this cation exchange column, again the hard water is passed through this anion exchange resin. This anion exchange resin is basically capable to exchange anion. So, the water which contain anion impurities like Cl minus, like sulfate ions, they get retained there, and water, it will be free from these anion or cation from previous, but contain H ion as well as OH ion. Reaction is this R dash, suppose R dash OH plus Cl minus, which are present in water, Cl minus, sulfate minus, carbonate minus, then R dash Cl minus will retain and OH minus, it will come out with water. Now, H ion and OH ion, they get again combined to produce water molecule in third chamber. In this, there is steam jacket and then water, H ion having H ion and OH ion, and which is basically pass through the degasifier, and we use demineralized water we get. The commercial name of zeolite was permutate, and ion exchanger, first cation exchanger, the commercial name is Amberlite IR120 and Dowex 50, and commercial name of an ion exchange resin is Amberlite 400 or Dowex 3. Now, regeneration, again the same problem, since it has microporous structure, and when all the pores get clogged with the calcium, magnesium or anions, then they will not be capable to exchange ions, that is they get exhaust. So, now when they get exhaust, then the supply of water is stopped, and instead of this hard water we pass HCl or H2SO4, and when we pass HCl or H2SO4, the reaction get reversed, that is R2Ca with acid get generate and form RH, and Ca plus 2 it will be basically removed or drain out. Again it is passed through anion exchange. When in case of anion exchange resin, the supply of water stopped, and instead of this base, that is NaOH alkali is used. Again the same reaction get reversed and we get R dash OH, that is again anion and cation exchange get regenerate. Advantages: up to 2 ppm hardness can be removed by this process, and in this process we can use acidic water as well as alkaline water. Disadvantage: very costly, and since it has porous structure, so if water contains suspension particles, so these particles must be removed before the use. Thank you.